Since representing influencers, streamers, and esports athletes with tens of millions of followers and billions of views, I've learned a thing or two about how the legal side of brand deals and promotional negotiations work. And so here are 3 tips I think every influencer, streamer, and esports athlete should know. Tip number 1, followers aren't everything. Brands primarily look at engagement rate, meaning they look at how many people interact with you and your profile constantly. There are tons of influencers out there who have a massive following but don't really have any dedicated fans. I would much rather represent somebody in a negotiation who has half as many followings but a very loyal fan base. That's because if you have a loyal fan base, they're more likely to buy the products that advertise. So here's a side tip. If you are an influencer, I would make sure to purposely do things that reflect your personality and build a following based on that. Even if it takes a little bit longer or you don't get as many overall followers, those followers that you do gain would be a whole lot more valuable to you down the road. For example, let's take 2 hypothetical photographers. One photographer only posts his beautiful pictures and has over 1 million followers. The other photographer has only 500,000 followers, but goes through the process on how the photos are made, the quirky behind the scenes dynamic of her photo shoots, and just her general journey. Well, just based on those facts alone, I can almost guarantee you that the photographer with only 500,000 followers is going to have a lot higher engagement rate, therefore should be able to command more brand deals. Tip number 2, expect to be lowballed and don't be afraid to counteroffer. When influencers call my office to help them negotiate deals, the first thing that they always tell me is they can't believe that the offers they're getting are so low. Well, it's cutthroat. Businesses don't really care about influencers. They're trying to get their services for as cheap as possible. And a lot of influencers feel intimidated or scared to counteroffer these brands. You should be aware that every time you do counteroffer, you risk the brand walking away from the deal and going to somebody else. But if you have a loyal following and high engagement rate, like what we talked about in tip 1, you should be able to command a higher price most of the time. And if an influencer is not willing to walk away from a deal and keeps taking lowball offers, well, then you're setting the standard for yourself and word gets around between the other brands. And finally, tip number 3, other than the money in the contract, be careful about the other terms. Most of the time, the initial agreement presented to influencers is very one-sided in the brand's favor and has very, very harsh repercussions for influencers if they were to breach. Additionally, all the intellectual property is owned by the brand in perpetuity, or at least that's what is suggested. I would definitely recommend not only counteroffering with respect to the amount of dollars you are to be paid, but also with the terms in the specific contract. Just read what you are signing very carefully. It could hurt you down the road. I'm gonna make more videos about this subject as we go on. These are just 3 of the very, very broad topics that I wanted to discuss today. That's it for today's video. If you found this information helpful, please make sure you leave a like and subscribe to this channel for more information. Thanks for watching.